Right, NSFAS spokesperson Slumezi Skosana joins us now for more on that conversation. Skosana, good to have you once again. Thank you very much for your time. Does this mean that the board has accepted this report and investigation and they will not be challenging any aspects of it?
Yes, good evening, Thabo, and the viewers at home. I think from what the chairperson said, it is very clear that the findings of the report, or rather contained in the report, have been accepted, by the board upon interacting with it extensively over the weekend. And he has indicated that the recommendations will be implemented in their entirety, meaning that, of course, as a board, they have accepted the report.
Now, you would remember that I had you here previously, and I raised this issue of irregularities in this tender, as raised by Outer, and you were out to defend this particular tender. You said, no, everything was above board, but it would be surprising to me that now, after this report, you have now changed your tune to say, well, we accept that there were irregularities here.
It is not a change of tune at all. I think your question in our previous conversation related, to the capacity, the expertise and the ability of the fintech companies to execute what was expected of them, and not necessarily on procedures followed, to appoint them. So what the investigation has revealed is that there could have been some elements of the procurement processes that were flouted. And that is why we have come to the point that we have reached now.
How did you reach this point where a CEO could be involved in the choosing of a company that is going to disperse these funds?
Well, there are procurement processes that are supposed to be followed, but it does look like when these companies were evaluated, the CEO, according to the report, of course, I have to emphasize that, could have acted, beyond his mandate, or could have been involved extensively in the processes as the CEO, which was not supported by the procurement procedures. So I think that's the main bone of contention.
And does that mean then that the internal systems at NSFAS are that weak for a CEO to be able to carry that kind of activity?
No, it simply means that we've got to be a little rigorous in ensuring that these procedures are followed, because they don't necessarily say that or state that the CEO shall be involved in the procurement processes, but it does look like from the reports, of course, that the CEO got unduly involved. Obviously, he's the ultimate accounting officer that would naturally know what's going on in the organization. But I think, according to the report and the findings, the extent to which he was involved in the process should have raised a red flag.
And so, how is the scheme tightening up that aspect?
I think the chairperson of the board made it abundantly clear that going forward, the systems will be revised again, because from the findings, there's an indication that there was an attempt, to cure the whole thing. That, okay, there was an involvement of the CEO on certain elements of the procurement processes, and therefore let the policies be adjusted. So the board has called upon management, and I think it will enlist the assistance of some experts to just go through the procurement processes and ensure that they are as robust and tightened as possible, so that an incident of this nature does not recur.
Yeah, the bid was changed to fit fintech companies. In other words, the specifications of the bid were adjusted to accommodate these companies. What is going to be done about that? That means the reason why we are having the kind of challenges that we are having with this payment system is directly related also to those changes, including the fact that a feasibility study was not conducted that would have been able to give you a deeper analysis of what is required for a smooth running of the scheme.
I think the board must be commended for having taken the stance that it has, that once there was an indication of some blind spots, it should involve experts like we involved Verkmans and advocate Nzugai Toby to do the investigation. Because you would understand that the board's fiduciary responsibility would in the main entail, identifying and mitigating the risks. So I think the board has taken the right step in making sure that this matter is investigated by the people that have the right skills to do so. Hence, I am confident that we are in the right direction in terms of correcting whatever shortfalls may be in our policies.
Yeah, but my question is more at the fact that proper processes were not followed, it seems. Specs were changed, which means
Correct.
It would have disadvantaged other bidders who would have been qualified to have been awarded this particular contract. So the contract has been awarded unfairly in that aspect of things. How do you rectify that situation?
That is why, upon receipt of the report, the board interacted with several affected parties. The board briefed the minister, about the report. It also went ahead and briefed the service providers that from the report, it does look like they were irregularly appointed, and therefore they will be engaged. There will be further engagements as to how the situation can be corrected, and it must be corrected, I must state.
And at this particular point, then, you are saying there is no prospect of cancellation of this particular contract with the fintech companies?
Well, there is that possibility because you must understand that, Thabo, that the principle is that we want to pay students directly as NSFAS. And as for that initiative, we are not blinking or winking on it. But I think the deployment of the fintech companies has also assisted NSFAS in the process of data exchange between NSFAS and the institutions, as well as in the verification of data, where we have been very, very resolute in ensuring that whoever deserves to be the beneficiary is actually, getting the money. So to that extent, we have learned our lessons, and the systems have been strengthened. But as for the companies, so what I'm trying to say is that the current problem is not relating to the incapacity or the lack of capability on the part of the fintech companies as such, but the method in which they were appointed is being called to question, and that must be corrected, and it will be corrected because the directives have been made very clear by the board as to what the next course of action should be. So
the chairperson says Dr. Chira's association with certain companies that were appointed as service providers, both at the service SETA level and at NSFAS, would represent something that is noteworthy as far as conflict of interest is concerned. And there is also a possible relationship between the CEO and the said companies. What's the board decision on that?
I did indicate earlier that over and above the board's fiduciary duty of management oversight, there is this important element of identifying and mitigating the risk. The fact that there are companies that, according to the report, appointed by, let's say, NSFAS, which is where the CEO was holding the fort, and the previous company that he worked for, it raises that risk element that the board needed to duly react to. That's as far as I can say, insofar as that it does raise a serious red flag.
So the processes then, from my understanding, that need to happen now is the CEO needs to make representation as far as this particular report is concerned on why his contract should also not be terminated.
He has been given 7 days to do so, and we can only await his response to that effect.
And at this stage, how does this all affect the disbursement of the funds to the students? I mean, it's just before exams. We spoke to the student body last week, and they said they're hoping whatever solution the board comes to must ensure that students are not affected at all.
No, definitely, and I think that is what the chairperson of the board, Mr. Khosa, sought to emphasize, that the disbursements of the allowances will not jeopardize the well-being and the welfare of the students, and the fintech companies will continue to disperse the funds as per agreements with NSFAS until engaged on the implications of the report.
Mr. Skosana, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on as NSFAS spokesperson. Slumezi Skosana there, joining us on the latest developments there at the scheme.